The Blackhawks come back to beat the Capitals 3-2 at the United Center. TJ Brodie and Ilya Mikheyev, just as we predicted. We'll wrap it up next on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks post-game podcast. I'm Jay Zawoski. That's Mario Tirabassi.
Hello.
Greg Boysen will join us shortly from the United Center. Nate's here running the show tonight. Hawks win 3-2, a 2-goal deficit going into the third period, a period which they started shorthanded. And Ilya Mikheyev's goal, the first shorthanded goal of the year for the Blackhawks, gets things started.
Perfect time for
And then it's TJ Brodie and Ryan Donato with just over 2 minutes left to seal it. And then the Hawks, really, maybe the most impressive part of this is how they closed the game out. First, had a couple shifts where controlling the puck, playing keep away from the Caps. Then they take a penalty, a high stick from Connor Murphy, win the faceoff, kill it off. Fantastic game. Do us a favor. If you enjoyed that, and I know you did, hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. Podcast listeners, like, subscribe, follow, review, all that great stuff that you do on your favorite podcast app. But Mario, there's so many places we can begin, but I just, when I think back to the 31 other games this season, I fail to find one that feels more complete and more rewarding than this one. They played a hell of a game against a hell of a team that had won, 10 straight on the road until they lost in Dallas last night.
top team in the Eastern Conference.
Yes, and they were the better team for 50 of the 60 minutes. Maybe you'd even say 55 of the 60 minutes. The Hawks deserved this win. This was not something where the bounces went their way and they just got lucky and held on for dear life. They took it to one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference tonight, and it was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, going into the second period, you're down 2-0, but as we were kind of talking about it at the at the United Center, they didn't play bad in the first period. It was just a poorly played individual chances against defensively. Louis Crevier loses the puck against PLD and he scores.
PUD.
And then Andrew Mangiapane just walks TJ Brodie, and you're like, oof.
That was a spicy meet the ball.
That's a big oof there. And you're down 2-0. And it's just like, man, like they played so well through that first period. And then the second period, they controlled a lot of the period. And, coming into the third, we were talking here at the studio. It was just like this game and the Leafs game was just like, they've controlled this game for the majority of the time. And they were out-chancing the Capitals, and then Mikheyev gets the early shorthanded goal, and you could just feel the momentum flip from there. And they instead of cowering from it and just saying, oh, we got one, okay, like let's see. They kept pushing the pedal down.
Yeah.
They get the tire from Brodie. He taketh away, and then he giveth back. And then Ryan Donato, man, like he had the strong move at the end of the game on Sunday that ended up setting up Connor Bedard for the game winner. And then again tonight, power moves to the net and just stuffs it home for the game winner. Like he's been having a great season. So yeah, I came to the studio in between the second and third periods feeling like this is gonna be a rough one to lose because they should have won.
Yeah, and
then they have this comeback, and you feel a lot better about the effort.
Well, and this is one where I want to give some flowers to Anders Sorensen because they did not relent. They did not play not to lose. And like even if you look at the things that he's done, the little things he's done, and one of the things that he's done that I have loved is when the fourth line has a shift in the offensive zone, it's not Joey Anderson, it's Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
And it's Bedard and Reichel and Maroon. And it's whether or not it results in a scoring chance or a goal or anything like that, to me, doesn't matter. It's the mindset of we're in the offensive zone, we're going to try to score.
Yeah.
This isn't a win the face-off and then, let's survive this shift to get an offensive line out here and see what happens. No, the mindset from Sorensen is attack. And if you listen to the players, you don't even really have to read between the lines. They're pretty much telling you that that's been the mindset, and they all welcome it. Look at how, even if you go individual by individual, Taylor Hall, Ilya Mikheyev, Connor Bedard, Teuvo Teräväinen has 6 points in his last 2 games.
Yeah.
This is a different team.
Yeah, the mentality is better. I mean, the guys were the whole team collectively was just so down, and you're losing games the same way, and you're doing the same things, and it's all based off of trying to just play back and play defense, and try and win, grind out 1-0 and 2-1 games, and they're not built to do that, and it's not exciting to do that. And early in the season, we were saying, well, they gotta be excited about doing the things that aren't exciting because winning is still good, but when you're doing all those things, but you're not winning, that's just a formula for depression, really.
Under Luke, this is a 2-0 loss.
Yeah. 3-0 probably.
Moral victory.
Yeah. And you say, well, we had more chances.
Oh man, another empty netter against.
Right, yeah. But no, this is a team that they want to play in transition, they want to play fast. You have a lot, you have a number of young guys now in the lineup that speed is part of their game, and you can take advantage of that. And I think it's just instead of being down 2-0 and worrying about not going down 3-0, you're worrying about let's push, let's try and let's try and attack on a penalty kill. You're not just getting in control of the puck and chipping it down. Mikheyev, you're attacking the ice. You're taking that opportunity to use that speed. And I think it's just it's more fun to play a fast style of hockey. And I was talking about it with I don't know if it's either you or Greg mentioned it, but you look at the Buffalo Sabres. They got walked tonight against Montreal, and they're a team they don't have a roster that's that bad, right?
No, that roster should be good.
It's kind of the same thing of what happened here in Chicago. It's just like maybe you have a more talented roster than your record shows, but maybe you don't have the right mix of guys playing the right style. And I think what Andrew Sorensen has done is kind of put guys in better positions in his style of play to be more aggressive, more attacking. We've gone through the 2-1-2, since he's taken over, and it benefits them.
All right, we got to tell you about the 4th star nominees for today's game. Here are your 3 stars. Ryan Donato with the game-winning goal is your 3rd star. Your 2nd star, Teuvo Teräväinen with 3 assists, and your number 1 star, Ilya Mikheyev with a goal and an assist of his own. So here are our nominees for 4-star of the game. Get your votes in on the YouTube page, and we will inform you of the winner at the end of the game. And despite Andrew Mangiapane Gretzky blowing past TJ Brodie, he ends this game with a goal, 2 shots on goal, and 7 shot attempts in 13:07 of ice time. So TJ Brodie, yep, he's a nominee. Second nominee, Connor Murphy, 24:56, an assist, 4 shots, and 5 shot attempts. I also have his 4 block shots for Connor Murphy. Another day at the office for him. And Arvid Söderblom, man, stopped 19 to 21 shots, many of them difficult.
Oh, yeah.
And there was, over the last little bit, Greg mentioned it on our last off-day show, how the first 5 starts for him were very good. The last 5 were not as good. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't feeling super comfortable with him throughout this game, just based on how the last few games have gone, but really, really solid in this one. And that save at the end of the when was that? Was that that was in the 3rd, right?
Yeah, late in the 3rd, he had 3 or 4 really challenging saves. And the one where I didn't know what Capitals player it was, but he was sliding in backdoor, and I thought it went off his foot, but he got his stick on it. So I
think that was
probably
Strome.
A little bit. Was it Strome? Yeah. A little bit more impressive of the save from Söderblom that it came off the stick rather than just a deflection off the foot. But yeah, I mean, he had 3 or 4 grade A chances that he stopped, and I mean, any of those go in and the game's over.
And Deadhawk points out, outshot 10-5 in the third, and they score 3 goals. Hockey.
Yeah,
that's correct. And in the first 2 periods, the Hawks outshoot them 9-5 and 9-6 respectively, and then they get outshot 10-5 in the third, and that's where all their goals come.
Yeah,
but it was like in this game, it just for the Hawks, it just felt like a matter of time because, like we've said, they were doing everything right.
Yeah,
they really were. They executed. They stuck with it. And I think if I was to throw one criticism at this game is a little bit, as we saw a lot of this year, passing up on shooting opportunities. But I think that was a product of we're shooting a lot and we're not getting rewarded. So I think they started, especially on those power plays, we're trying to be perfect, which is understandable when you're not having any luck.
Yeah. Yeah, they still had some pretty good chances on those power plays, specifically the 3 in the second period. They still set up some good chances, but yeah, there was still a lot of like one extra pass than there should have been, and playing a little bit too much on the outside of the dots and up at the blue line. I would like those guys to try and stay closer to the net, try and play a little bit below the net if possible. Like because if you're moving the puck like that, that's great, but if you can do that, below the net, closer to the net, like somewhere in a little bit more of a high danger area where you're not settling for shots from the outside, you're actually getting in, to the middle, or you get a little bit lower below the dots, that'd be great. But again, when you come out with a 3-2 victory, you can kind of nitpick those things. If they had lost this game 2-0, the way that it was going, I'd be way more frustrated about it. But because they got the win, it's like, okay, well, let's clean it up next game. Yeah. But it is nice to see, and it's pointed out here in the chat. I've lost who said it, but those plays being set up is now you got Nazar out there with Bedard, who's a guy that thinks the same way that Bedard does on the power play of creativity and
pass
and well and try, but no, he's someone who's like, I would go here, and I think Connor would go there as well, and vice versa. So those are two guys that I think play well off of each other on that power play to set up those opportunities. But again, just tighten it in and get to the higher danger areas and try and make those plays.
Yeah, and we got a shout out to Ryan Donato, who just was basically said, "F it, I'm scoring right now."
That was awesome.
Banks off the boards to himself, and then just sees an opportunity and drives the net and tucks it right past Logan Thompson. And seen a lot of those from Donato, where just like those plays where he will not be denied.
He's playing.
He's a dog, man.
Very motivated this year. He's in a contract year. He's on a team that is going to be selling at the deadline, and he's we go back to it what we said yesterday, kind of talking about like who are the UFAs that you'd want to keep around.
I'm bringing him back.
He'd be a guy that he's at the top of my list of candidates to bring back, because he's very versatile, and he's had success in he's having success playing on a top line role, which I don't think he normally would be on most other teams. And man, he's playing motivated. So I'm very happy that he's been able to have that kind of season, because if it's not him, I don't know who else is scoring goals on this team right now.
I mean, look, he's 28. He makes $2 million this year, so probably be due for a little bit of a raise. But I don't think Donato is going to be the kind of guy who's like, give me $5 million. Would you give him 3? Would you give him 2 years, $3 million?
I'd give him 3. I'd give him 3.5.
Yeah, I think that's like, just before we hit the break zone, remind people when the Hawks traded Brandon Hale and the players were like, if this guy, like you saw Toews and other guys frustrated about it because they're like, if we're not keeping this guy, what are we doing? And it's when they really got the idea, like, oh God, we are about to tank.
You're tanking, Jonathan.
I could see guys on this team not seeing Ryan Donato come back and being like, why? Why would he not be a guy you want to lock up here and have? Like, he's versatile as hell, can play on all 4 lines, can play on the power play, can play center or wing. Why would you not want Ryan Donato back? If you can get him for I would go up to 3.5 for Ryan Donato.
Yeah, I mean, factoring that the salary cap's going up high.
Yeah.
But and the thing is, like, you're not keeping all of these guys around, but you theoretically can't just trade all. You can't trade all of them.
No,
I don't
go
think that,
Rockford in Chicago next year.
Yeah, I don't think that that's realistic. But so if you're saying, like, if there is a guy or two of the UFAs that you're like keeping around past the trade deadline and at least have the option to extend or something, again, like, yeah, I still say Donato is one of those guys. Like, because I mean, you probably can get something pretty nice for Taylor Hall if he keeps playing the way that he has in the last handful of games. Pat Maroon's a guy that contending teams love to have. Yeah, I just think Donato is playing his way into that, like, maybe keep him around because it's good for the team, good for the lineup. And good for the player too.
All right, let's hit the break zone real quick. We'll be back in a moment with your super chats and a whole lot more on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. Well, we've been telling you for months now about our friends at Sunnyside, back when it was a Sunnyside summer. Well, now it's a Sunnyside winter, and either way, it is your place to go for judgment-free cannabis shopping, where whether you're a rookie, whether you're a veteran, whether you're Cheech and Chong, or whether you're Millhouse. I'm trying to think of an inexperienced, right?
I would say Millhouse, yeah.
Who's like a famous prude? I don't know. Jan Brady.
His mom says he's cool.
I'll stick with Millhouse. Whatever your cannabis experience level is, it doesn't matter. You can go into Sunnyside and find exactly what you need. They've got over 100 strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. It is Illinois' favorite dispensary. They got locations in Wrigleyville. We'll be there soon. And River North and Champaign, South Beloit, and more. If you're just getting started, Sunnyside has that expert guidance and brands they know you'll love, like my two personal favorite brands, Mindy's and Good News. Check out the new Good News limited time Island Vibes, available in disposable vapes, 510 carts, and live resin gummies. It is outstanding. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter the promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois MedCard holders.
And once you've stocked up from Sunnyside, go home, fire up Empire today, and shop for new floors. That's a good thing to do after you go to Sunnyside, is get new floors in your home. And with Empire today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire today is the best place to get new flooring. So, of course, they have their copycats, but Empire cannot be beaten on quality, service, or speed. So competitors will advertise low-quality products that Empire simply will not carry. Now, Empire does give you a low-price guarantee, but it's not a low price on low-quality products. It's a low price on that high-quality product, because anyone who is putting flooring in your home at the lowest prices, lower than Empire, is putting low-quality flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in theirs.
Crap floors.
And why would you ever trust someone who would do that? The other great thing about Empire is their virtual floor designer. It's a cool way to see how new floors will look in any space. Super easy. Just snap a picture and instantly see how new floors are going to look in the room that you want new floors in. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. When you do, all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when you use the promo code CHGO. Restrictions do apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for more details.
All right, let's get to these super chats real quick. We got a bunch, so thank you for those. That's a great way to guarantee your question gets read. Pay for it.
Yeah.
I was watching the Bears postgame last night. You're getting like $200, $300 super chats.
Hey, people really want to voice their displeasure with the Bears.
$300 to say that the Bears suck. All right, the Giggities for $5 says Teräväinen 3 assists, 6 points in his last 2 games. He's been awesome since Sorensen took over. Yeah, we started as one of the first things we started with today, but yeah, a lot of guys look a lot better under Anders Sorensen.
Yeah, I mean, it's more fun to play fast and aggressive. So I think you're seeing guys respond to that.
Another 5 from Brandon Sikora says Anders is a good coach. The buy-in is there. Davidson has a tough decision to make behind the bench. This coach is way too valuable to lose. Thoughts? Let's cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to make a call on that.
Let's give it more than 6 games. Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, the team is responding to the change, and that's a positive.
And the team really likes him, too.
I think so.
And if you listen to What Chaos Today, which we recommend because they had Nick Foligno and Taylor Hall on, they actually were talking about how Sorensen was like a huge influence on William Nylander. He coached David Pasternak in Sweden. So, like, he's got a lot of connections to NHL players, and he is well regarded around the league. Just because he's not been an NHL head coach until now doesn't mean that he's just some stiff fill in space until, Peter Laviolette gets hired. I'd rather see what Sorensen has than retread another putz that fails somewhere else. That's just me. Boris Dachuk, $2 says Lucas Reichel was a missile out there tonight. So happy for him. I love the way Reichel's played this year. Now I just want the production to start coming. And I like we talked about with him and him getting some shifts with Bedard. Mm-hmm. Some of those are going to start paying off. Those two are starting to figure each other out a little bit.
Yeah, and that's good. And yeah, you do want the production to follow suit with the way he's been playing, but the way things went last year, I'm very happy with Lucas Reichel just being impactful, playing with speed and confidence. The production, it'll follow suit eventually.
All right, next one from Alan K. Says Rick Ball and Kaylee Chelios brought to life the essence of this great game. When the Hawks are contenders, fans are in for a treat with the announcing. I think we're already in for the announcing's been great, especially, Kaylee's doing a great job filling in for Panger, but Rick Ball just sounds like hockey.
Rick Ball and Darren Pang this year has been great. I don't think we were worried about that coming into this year when they did make the change. And Rick Ball was coming in. So yeah, I'm glad that it's gone really well. And for those that can't see the games, there's always the radio broadcast, which is always high quality with John and Troy and Charlie added to it this year.
I'm laughing because I'm reading ahead at the next super chat from Boris Dachuk. $5 says, on a scale from 1 to 10, how annoying do y'all think Pat Boyle is? He looks like a crappy real-life Count from Sesame Street. Bleh. I like Pat Boyle. I've got nothing against Pat.
Yeah.
We gave him some crap when he started doing our whoa.
Or Joey Anderson.
Without shouting us out. But
yeah. I will defend Pat Boyle as well.
Yeah, Nate knows Pat better than anybody.
Yeah.
You like Pat, Nate?
100%.
Why are you shaking your head no? But I'm thinking, no, he's not. I'm just kidding. He's not. Yeah, Pat's a good dude. All right, McLovin with $5 says Crevier and Allan quietly becoming steady, consistent, everyday NHL defenseman was not on my 24-25 season bingo card. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
Crevier putting Tom Wilson onto the ice with one hand.
That was nice.
Roll me up one of those, Sunnyside. I'll take that all day.
That was nice. Yeah, I mean that's one of the advantages of being a gigantic human being is that you can match up with other gigantic human beings and sometimes win. Yeah, I mean Crevier's been pretty decent. I mean, didn't really play that puck well in the first period that led to the Dubois goal, but other than that, like I'd say he had a pretty steady game. Nolan Allan, I mean, geez, it feels like it's almost like I keep forgetting that he's like still here sometimes. I'm like, wait, he was probably supposed to go back to Rockford at some point, and just with the Seth Jones and Alec Martinez injuries on and off and everything, he's played his way into a steady role. He's been scratched a few nights, but yeah, I mean he's been really solid. And today, before the game, I believe it was Tab Bamford from Bleacher Nation Blackhawks was asking Anders before the game about Allan accepting his role as I'm a defensive first, pretty much defensive only right now defenseman, but I'm okay with that, and talking about guys accepting that and how Allan's kind of found his way to the NHL by doing that, and now his game can try and expand from here.
Well, I mean, Alex Vlasic is a great example of a guy who we all said, hey, this guy is going to develop. He's going to be at best, a top pair, stay-at-home defenseman. He's going to shut down, and he's got half a point per game already.
Yeah,
and the offensive game is there for him, and a lot part of the recent point production is opportunity.
Sure,
with Seth Jones out, but I don't think that opportunity is going away when Jones comes back.
No, I mean you see him when he has the puck on his stick. Like, he's confident, he'll skate it up the ice, he'll distribute really well. Like, sometimes for these offensive or these defensive defensemen, playing in transition is really valuable, even if the point production is not there, which for Vlasic it has been. But even without putting up points, like being able to play in transition, move the puck, and be able to do it yourself with confidence is that's a big part of it. Like, I go back to Nicholas Hjalmarsson. Like, he was not the most offensively gifted player, but defensively he was one of the best of his era. But he also could play really well in transition. Like, he had decent speed, he had confidence with the puck, he knew what to do, how to get it out of his own zone and move it up for offense. So Vlasic's got that quality too, and that's a big thing, and that's something that guys like Crevier and Allan can learn at this level.
Yeah, it's I saw Lebowski say, let's trade Crevier now while his value will never be higher. I still don't think Louis Crevier has massive trade value right now. I think he's probably still a secret to the vast majority of the league, but no, it's never a bad idea to have a glut of defensemen. Someone said, who are our 6 defensemen going to be? We don't know yet. We don't know yet, but the fact that you've already got Vlasic, Korchinski, Crevier, Allan, Kaiser, that's 5 that you already see as, hey, these are NHL players. Mm-hmm. How good they will eventually end up being remains to be seen. Are they NHL players on a contender? That remains to be seen for many of them. But you've got 5 right there that have shown they can hang at the NHL level. You've got Artem Levshinov, the 2nd overall pick in Rockford right now. You've got Ethan Del Mastro, who everyone's high on.
Yeah.
It's an embarrassment of riches. And that's good, because as we talked about the other day, nothing carries more value in the NHL these days than defensemen. Yeah,
I mean, you have enough of them where you can say, yeah, they're an NHL defenseman, and they can benefit you in a multitude of ways. Either they work out and find a way onto your roster, or you use them to, you have a surplus of defensemen. You use them to fill other spots in your organization that you might not be as deep with. And, with a guy like Sam Renzel coming up as well, in a little while here, would expect to see him make the jump to professional hockey pretty soon. I mean, you're going to have a lot of guys that are panning out in the right direction. And we've talked about Kyle Davidson needing to, address, get a young guy to play with Connor Bedard, get, young centers. Maybe you need some sort of goaltender situation, something like that. If you have all these young NHL caliber defensemen, you can only play 6 at a time. So, not all these guys prospect wide, not just defensemen, but not all these guys are going to be NHL players. Some of them will eventually become trade chips and stuff, but the fact that they're all on pace or look like they're, on their way to the NHL ready across the board, that's awesome.
Yeah, we do have to hit the break zone soon. Hey, we got, 500 people watching?
Hell
Holy
yeah.
moly. What is this, a Bears game?
Love that.
We've only got 200 likes, though. So do us a favor. If you're new here, thank you. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page. Do that first. Then navigate over to that thumbs up button and hit it for us. We want to get up to at least 300 likes on this show today. I think that would probably be a season high if we get to 300. So let's really try to do that. Our friends at Whatcast like to do a like spike. So 3, 2, 1. Spike that like button. Give it a Ryan Donato stuff shot. Give it a Ilya Mikheyev shorthanded like.
Hit the like button right in the face.
Yeah. Punch in the face like Connor Murphy. Knock it down like Louis Crevier. Just hit that like button for us. We'd really, really appreciate that. Look at that. That worked. We're almost at 250. So thank you. Make sure if you're just finding us again, get in that habit. When you come into the room, First thing you do, hit that like. You're already subscribed. We love it. Thank you for being here. A lot more to come, including Greg Boysen from the United Center, coming up next on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. That's you, buddy.
Yes, it is. I was just trying to catch up on our Slack messages, but yeah, hey, if you watched tonight's game, you watched it on CHSN, most likely, and they are the new broadcast home for the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, and they're broadcasting more than 300 live games per year across those three aforementioned teams, the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, and feature a full lineup of original Chicago-focused content. CHSN is Chicago-based, Chicago-built, and Chicago to the core. And they're bringing it to every corner of Chicago across our great 77 neighborhoods and beyond. At CHSN, Chicago comes first. Visit chsn.com for more info on how to watch the Bulls, the Blackhawks, and the White Sox watch their games all season long.
And has your whole adult life been a lie? Did you grow up in the North Pole, raised by elves, and then turns out that you were much bigger than them and couldn't really understand why? And then someone drops the bomb on you that, no, you're not an elf. Your real dad lives in New York, and he wants nothing to do with you.
I've heard this story before.
Despite passing through the 7 levels of the candy cane forest. Well, when you finally get to New York, you're going to want to choose chill, because it's going to be stressful to meet your dad for the first time. He's kind of a jerk. Just warning, he's on the naughty list, as we know. So choose chill. Get yourself ready for that first meeting. When you do that, buddy, you're going to choose a Coors Light. It's mountain cold refreshment, and boy, live in the North Pole, you know what it's like to be cold. Should be nice and easy for you. When those mountains turn blue, it's as cold as the Rockies. So when you, buddy, embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And let's go out to the United Center and bring in our buddy. He is standing by now. It is Greg Boysen. What's up, Greg?
Hello.
How was postgame? We didn't get to. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask, who are we firing tonight? I figured we're firing somebody. That's what we do.
Spencer Carberry.
Yeah, he's a bum.
Yeah, he's a bum. If you can't beat the Blackhawks, you don't deserve to coach in this league.
No, it's been very, very positive. Everyone's very happy. We're trading Connor Murphy and Louis Crevier for first round picks. So yeah, it's
right. Okay, cool. I like
a
it.
Good night.
Yeah,
Well, take us into the dressing room. We've not had time to play any of the audio you sent in. That'll be available on YouTube after the show, but I have to imagine as high of vibes as we've seen all year from this team.
Well, yeah, obviously this is going to be a very happy group. We spoke to Ryan Donato, and then we spoke to Ilya Mikheyev and Arvid Söderblom. So the quality of quote went downhill pretty quick. But obviously, winning, I feel like Kevin Korchinski there, winning back-to-back games where you score late in the third period, flipping the script of the season here. How many games have the Blackhawks had a third period lead and find a way to lose it? They had a third period lead against the Islanders and coughed it up, but came back and won. And today down 2-0. Taking advantage of a Capitals team that was running out of gas. They played last night in Dallas, and they were putting a lot of time on the penalty kill in that second period. It eventually caught up to them, and the Blackhawks took advantage of it. But and Anders Sorensen, very happy with what he saw. I mean, this was a game that I'm sure you guys have talked about it. This was a game that they probably should have had like a 3 or 4-2 lead in the third period. Like they outplayed the Capitals, but to the Capitals' credit, a lot of that first and second period was to the outside. And Anders said that in the second intermission, they said, we want to start attacking the middle of the ice. And they did. And look what happens. They scored 3 goals.
Well, that's a good way to go about it. What was the messaging from the game-winning goal scorer Ryan Donato tonight?
Ryan Donato, he doesn't change his matchup very often. Humble, not going to take a ton of credit. I guess his dad was in the crowd tonight, so he thought he thought it was cool that he scored his team leading 11th goal in front of his dad, and he always says that his dad, no matter how good of a game he is, his dad is always going to point out things he did wrong. Being the lifelong coach that his dad Ted is, and he said, yeah, he'll probably pat me on the back for the game-winning goal and then tell me 7 things I could have done differently, but he wouldn't have it any other way. But that was the most Ryan Donato-y goal of all the Ryan Donato goals we've ever seen, and that's back-to-back games with Donato on the ice late making a big play. He made the play that made that Bedard goal happen against the Islanders on Sunday. So that's back-to-back games where Donato's out there, game on the line, and he comes through with a big play. I mean, he has had an incredible start to this season, and he's being rewarded for all that hard work.
Well, let's get your take on this. This is one of the things we talked about during the show is you're looking at, the season's coming up, and he is an unrestricted free agent after this year, signed for $2 million right now. We had said, kind of agreed, we'd go up to about 3.5 to keep Ryan Donato around for a handful of years, maybe 2, maybe 3, with the versatility and everything he brings. And we mentioned how the Hawks were sort of despondent when they traded Brandon Hagel and said, hey, if this guy can't stay here, who can? I think a lot of the guys in that room would feel the same way if Ryan Donato went away. Like, that's a guy who does everything you ask him to do at a high level. First line, fourth line, center wing, whatever you ask, he's going to do it and do it well. I'd like to see him brought back.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you kind of look at him the same way the team looked at Nick Foligno and Jason Dickinson last year, 2 guys that could have fetched you a 3rd or 4th round pick at the trade deadline, but they said it was more valuable to have him here for another couple years. I think Donato fits that role too. Reward a guy for doing everything they asked. They wanted him to improve his skating and be a little quicker, and he did that this offseason, and it's paying dividends for him. I would love to keep Donato here for another couple of years. And while he's leading the team in goals, I would love to keep Donato here so he could be that depth bottom 6 scorer and not have to play on the top line and the top power play, because that means the team has gotten better and the roster has gotten better and he could play more of a role that's suited for him. But it's hard to argue with the results. He's playing way above where he should be and he's excelling at it. So good for him. And I would absolutely have zero problem with Ryan Donato getting that extension, and do it before the trade deadline to kind of be like, hey, we're gonna keep you out of the trade rumors. We're gonna reward you. You don't have to worry about it. You're here. This is that's your reward. The 2-year, 3-year deal, whatever they want to do him, but do it before the trade deadline so he doesn't have to sweat it out.
That's what they did with Dickinson and Foligno when they did.
Yeah,
those.
It was about New Year. It was like right after the New Year.
Foligno was in January of last season, and Dickinson was roughly around the same time. I want to say it was definitely before
January 16th for Dickinson.
Those three guys, and Mrazek too. They were all they were all within a couple weeks of each other.
So yeah, it was Foligno was the 12th, Dickinson was the 16th, and Mrazek was a little later. Mrazek was January 24th. So yeah, like all within 2 weeks of each other.
Yeah.
I like that idea, and I really hope, especially Donato, is back. The other thing we talked about, too, is how many of these guys, specifically Taylor Hall, Teuvo Teräväinen, and Ilya Mikheyev, have looked like different guys under Sorensen. I wonder if he had... it feels like Sorensen's like the last guy in the world who's going to give himself credit for anything, but did he have anything to add in that sort of regard?
Well, nothing specifically. Yeah, he's not going to pat himself on the back, but when you let offensive guys play more offensive hockey, it's not a shock that you're going to get more results from them. 6 points from Teuvo in the last 2 games is we've been waiting for an outburst like that. And me, I've been on the play Teuvo with Bedard line. Doesn't sound like that's going to happen though, because Sorensen was big on the chemistry that's been brewing between Teräväinen and Mikheyev, and doesn't want to break them up after these 2 games, and it's hard to argue with that.
I'm not changing anything.
And Mikheyev has been. I mean, we said it just before he had that goal the other night. So Jay and I will take credit for this little heater. But we said if he could just finish out how to finish some plays here, you'd really have something, because he's one of your best skaters. He's one of your best defensive forwards, and now he's starting to do that. That short-handed goal was, hang that in a museum. That was a beautiful play. And then he makes the pass to TJ Brodie to set up the game-tying goal. Just a great game, and he's a guy that is, very unassuming. As I said, we spoke to him after the game, very quiet, very, but he's a guy that, to use an old cliche, he brings his lunch pail to work every game and does what's is needed of him. So I'm happy that he's starting to get these results.
Yeah, I just, it's funny. Like, anytime somebody that Kyle Davidson brought in makes a mistake, people are very quick to point it out. Like today, it was when TJ Brodie got walked by Mangiapane. It was like, Kyle Davidson needs to go and take Brodie with him. And it's like, well, Ilya Mikheyev had a pretty decent game. Toews got 6 points in 2 games. Jason Dickinson's playing pretty, you know what I mean? It gets a little frustrating to see that, but hey, you got a second round pick for taking Mikheyev.
It's the frustrations of living and dying with every game of an 82 game season. A season like this that was never planned to be a playoff season, a deep, long run into the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is something that you kind of have to. And I know as a fan, it's hard. You get pissed when they lose the same way every night out. So maybe this recent stretch of better overall play and now getting some wins, people will pump the brakes on a lot of this stuff. And I get it. It's frustrating. But in a season like this, you kind of have to wait to the end of the year when you see how everything panned out and how the important players that matter for the future, if they grew, if they developed and took strides, then you can rate the season a success or a failure. And we're starting to see, this team really pick up and play better with the new system. And a lot of these guys that we were down on for being invisible for the first 30 games of the season are now starting to lead this team. And don't look now, but you've got 2-3 lines that can put the puck in the back of the net now. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's I feel like things are starting to kind of come together for the roster and the lineup. Like you're starting to find some chemistry outside of just the fourth line, and you get Teräväinen and Mikheyev and Dickinson. They're working well together. The last few games they've been together. You got Foligno up with Bedard after he came back, so I think that worked out pretty well. Again, would like to see that run a little bit. And you also got to remember, you got Alec Martinez eventually getting back soon, hopefully. Yeah. Who knows? Seth Jones. Don't forget, Seth Jones is coming back to this team rather quickly.
Seth Jones could be back as quickly as Thursday, possibly. But definitely, he'll be playing by the time the Winter Classic rolls around.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. And I mean, it's the things are going back in the right direction. And I think the roster's supposed to get some guys back, get a little bit better. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying this is gonna completely flip the season on its head, but I would like to think if they keep playing this way, you're going to see a way more positive results in games than we were previously, and it's gonna feel better. It's gonna make a lot of things that we've been frustrated with this season feel different if they can continue to put in efforts like this, not be out, not feel like they're out of games, not play like they're out of games. And some of these guys, like they have the horses to do it. So it's been great these last few games to get these kind of performances.
Yeah, and we all, before the season started, all predicted this team to be somewhere in the 72 to 76 point range. And you start getting Teuvo playing like he's playing, and Mikheyev, and Bedard's playing with confidence, and you get Peter Mrazek back and Seth Jones back, and you shore up your defense. Your penalty kill has been amazing, 27 straight kills. They could still finish. Like, finishing with 73, 74 points is not impossible at this point. You start stacking up a few wins here, all of a sudden you're on that pace. And if they finish exactly where most of us thought they were going to finish at the end of the year, then a lot of this, energy that was put towards fire this guy and fire that guy, it seems wasted at the end of the year. Now, it did take a coaching change to get this team start playing in a different direction. But this team still could be exactly who we thought they were going to be by the time this 82-game schedule is over.
Well, and kind of on, to kill two birds with one stone here, this was a make or break year for Luke Richardson, and this team underachieved. Kyle Davidson flat out said it. This roster is better than the results we're seeing, and 20-some games into the year, the first year, really, where Luke Richardson had anything at all to work with, it took Kyle 26 games?
This was game 32.
It was 26, yeah.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, it took him 26 games to say, nope, not good enough, and make the change. And now that you've made the change, over these 6 games, you have seen the difference. And the team we've seen over these 6, they've not won every game, but it's looked like we thought it was going to look all year. When we make those predictions and we talked about expectations for individuals and the team, that's what we were thinking about was, hey, look, you added Bertuzzi and Teuvo, 2 of the better available free agent forwards. I think, were they maybe second and third behind Jake Gensel? Am I forgetting somebody?
I don't think they were second and third, but they were. It wasn't
They're
like
top 5.
Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, we're getting the day 2 scraps.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, after it was Gensel and Stamkos and Marchessault.
Yeah.
And then they were probably in that next group after that. They were like the best of Group B. But I'm sure there were a lot of people calling their agents wanting to add those guys.
Yeah, and Bertuzzi has been, I honestly think Bertuzzi has been playing well for the last 15 games or so.
Yeah.
Before the change was made, and now even better.
He was coming back around before the change, and I think he's found an extra gear now.
Well, they've got the puck in the offensive zone, which is where his value.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where his value is. And this is what we all thought this team was going to look like. So, if they do get in the 70-point range after where they started, that's a hell of a way to end, and it's also a very big, a very big thing for Sorensen to check and say, hey, look how I turned this around. Look what I did with this team after where they had been. Listen to what the players are saying about me. Again, I encourage everyone to check out that interview on Whatcast. I might bring a couple pieces back from it for tomorrow's show. No practice tomorrow. We've got a 2:30 show, so we'll hear some of it then. Really interesting stuff from 2 veteran guys who have been around the league, speaking highly of Anders Sorensen. So, I don't know. There's just a lot good to take away. And Greg, when I started the show, I want to get your take on this. I said this is probably the most satisfying game of the season, not just because of the result, but because they were probably the better team for 53 minutes of this game.
Yeah, it's up there. And Ryan Donato was asked about this. Again, you're playing the team with the most points in the Eastern Conference. The Blackhawks have played, most of their wins have come against some of the best teams in the league. You beat the Dallas Stars 6-2. You beat the Florida Panthers. You've beaten the Edmonton Oilers. You've knocked off some of the best teams. So maybe we shouldn't be surprised that they won tonight, because this is a team that, should have walked in the United Center and dominated, but they rise to the occasion. If they could just figure out a way to do this against the Predators and the Ducks and the Sharks of the world, they'd be a lot better off. But learning how to win and close out games is huge. Arvid Söderblom made that huge pad save with about 3 minutes to go, right after they tied the game. I can't remember who it was, but deflected a puck on net. I think it was Protas had the from the high slot, but it was a quick redirect, and he had his pad out there, and I don't think anybody in the building knew he had saved it, included Arvid Söderblom. Yeah. That was a huge save. And then moments later, the Hawks score that winning goal. So learning how to close out these games is huge for this team. They now got a taste of it. They know what it's like. And once you know how to do it, it gets a lot easier to do it. And we're talking about that 70-point mark. They need 46 points in 50 games to get 70. So that's essentially 500 hockey.
To win half your games.
Yeah, that's 500 tough. Hockey. And maybe pick up a few loser points along the way to help you out. So it's not impossible. Yeah, it's not, if they play like they've played these last 6 games, I mean, they're 3-3 since Anders Sorensen started. That's 500. You keep this pace, you're a 70-point team at the end of the season.
That's winning half your games. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, home heavy second half of the season.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and just to recap the Hawks' 11 wins, I just updated my list. Edmonton, San Jose, Colorado, LA, Anaheim, Minnesota, Florida, Dallas, the Rangers, the Islanders, and the Caps. There's your 11 Hawks wins this year.
Some good teams in there.
Some teams are going to be playing into May and June on that list.
And you had Winnipeg beat. You were a Nick Foligno deflection away from tying Dallas in the closing minutes of that game.
Yeah.
Like they've been right there in a lot. I mean, think of how many games it's historic at this point where they've led in the third and blown the game. Mm-hmm. If they cut that in half, I mean, it's
their record. Their record coming into this game was 3-5-2 in 1-goal games. Like, and they were coming into this game 30 of 31 games where they entered the third period tied, in the lead, or down by 1. Like, they've been in all of these games this year, and it's just different ways in which they've fumbled it. And now, the last 2 games have been great showings of how they've been able to go out and get a win rather than try and hope for it to fall in their lap. So that's been encouraging.
And the next game's coming up, by the way, Thursday Seattle, Saturday Calgary, Monday Minnesota, Friday Buffalo, then the 29th is Dallas, and you got the Winter Classic.
They haven't had a 3-game winning streak since February of 2023.
It's right there for them.
And they got a home game against Seattle on Thursday night. Jeremy Roenick's going to be honored and in the building. It's probably going to be a pretty decent crowd with some pretty good energy. That seems like a winnable game. And that would be really nice for this team to get a 3-game win streak, which we haven't seen in a very long time. Gosh, that would be nice. 3-game win streak. Who would have thought? Let's wish it into existence.
All right, we've got to get to pay off our segments here. So let's do. I saw we had a runaway and 4-star Nate.
Big time.
All right, so the nominees today were. Let me go back to my notes.
Söderblom.
It was Brody, Murphy, and Söderblom, and I saw that Arvid Söderblom is the winner. What was the? Do we have a final percentage?
He was 84%. It was pretty much from the get-go.
Did Brody get any votes?
Both the other two finished with around the same.
So 4%.
Yeah.
I would have voted for Brody just because.
Well, I just wanted you to have to make a TJ Brody graphic.
Already existed. They were all really easy. Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. All right, and who's your Hawk? Oh, we know who the winner was tonight, baby.
Yeah. First blowout, I think, of this magnitude this year.
Wow. Look at that scoreboard, man. Woo. Ooh. You can throw a blanket over the 3 of us all of a sudden.
It got real tight. Yeah.
All tangled up.
Uh-oh.
Someone sabotaged me.
Uh-oh.
Well, I get first pick again.
It's just a plastic chain, Jay.
Back in first pick for Thursday.
Got to put it on short.
See, this is why we can't let you win, Jay. You screw everything up.
I didn't do it. I blame the Bears.
That's a good way to do it. Oh, now you got the chain through the sea. Oh, boy.
Talk amongst yourselves.
It's like a It's like one of those little kids' toys that you play with at the doctor's office.
This is great for the audio only version of the podcast.
Tevo's got some of the highest scoring Who's Your Hawk games of the year.
Yeah,
11's
got the overall
11's
highest.
got to be up there.
16's the highest.
16's the highest.
And that
was
also
It was
that
also
last game?
Tevo.
No,
was also
Tevo
Tevo.
early in the season. Yeah.
No, that was
Okay.
that huge game in the first road trip. The second game of the year when he had like the 2 goals and 2 assists.
Makes sense.
I had him that night. That's the only reason. No, I'm going to date myself with this reference. Teuvo Teräväinen is the Dave Kingman of Who's Your Hawk. You're either going to get 4 strikeouts or 2 400-foot home runs. Nothing in between.
It's all or nothing. Yeah, that's it. All or nothing with Tevo.
He got it all tonight.
We'll take all 6
Yeah.
points in his last 2
Yes.
games. I'm happy to see that. And boy, he's got to be, for a guy who admittedly said, a couple weeks ago, like, I am not feeling confident right now.
Right.
I think that
He's
confidence
feeling it
is
now.
showing.
It should.
And you
Yeah,
see,
for sure.
you see it too. And by the way, before we wrap up, we've not said his name all show. Connor Bedard did not show up on the score sheet today. I freaking loved his game tonight.
Yeah.
He was flying. He is skating with that BDE, as the kids say. Like, he is feeling himself. It's a matter of time till he's got a 3 or 4 point. Do you want to look it up? BDE.
No, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's
can
a
see it
matter
on
of
his
time
face.
till he pops off for one of these games. There were a couple times I was like, shoot the damn puck.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, he has been zipping around, and here's his 100th game tonight.
Mhm.
Over 100 games, 29 goals, 58 assists, 87 points, with 7 power play goals and 5 game winners, joining Bobby Hull and Patrick Kane as the youngest Hawks to score 5 game winning goals. So for all the worrying and pearl clutching about Connor Bedard,
Those sure look like the numbers of a bust if I've ever seen
he's
one.
right on
Let
track.
me tell
And,
you.
and you tweeted out today too, in comparison to
I mean,
some of the star players ever.
yeah, you look at some of the guys since I think I started with basically Sidney Crosby up. That's kind of the modern game of.
By the way, find the Sidney Crosby assist tonight.
Oof, pretty nice.
God damn.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Connor Bedard at 100 games, and he's got 87 points, just shy of the pace Austin Matthews was on in his first 100 games. Patrick Kane had 96 points through his first 100 games. McDavid 108, Ovechkin 128, Crosby 132, but 87 for Bedard first 100 games outpaces Nathan McKinnon's 79. Taylor Hall's 72, Steven Stamkos 70, John Tavares 66. Jack Hughes had 42 points in his first 100 games, and he's turned out to be a pretty darn good player. And some of these guys on this list were not 18 years old
Right.
for the majority of their first 100 games. They were 19 or 20 or whatever. Like, so I think it's a good way to put into perspective the kind of player that Bedard has been, and also comparatively looking at what he's done in his first 100 games in the NHL compared to some of these other guys that were number 1 overall picks and the teams they played on. I would put up the teams that Connor has played on, the lineups that he's played with over his first 100 games, pound for pound against any of those other number 1
McKinnon's
picks.
Avalanche teams were ass, but everybody else
first
is
one. The first one.
yeah.
Yeah, through the first 100 games, I would say this might be some of the worst rosters that any of those guys have played with, if not top 3 worst, bottom 3.
All right, Greg, before we let you go, any nuggets or tidbits?
I was hoping you were going to ask me this because I have a couple for you.
Hey, look at that.
Ooh.
Anders Sorensen gave us a peek into his very dry sense of humor tonight when asked about that play about Louis Crevier that led directly to the Caps' first goal. Just said it was a tough play. He had the puck in his feet, and he says, "I'm not 6'6", so I don't know what that's like, but it probably took him a long time to look down there and see it. And by the time he did, it was already gone." But he also credited Crevier for playing really good after that. Didn't let that play drag him down, and then he just destroyed Tom Wilson at the end of the game too. That was a lot of fun. This is the stuff I love about being able to step behind the curtain here, leaving the room, coming into the media room for Anders post game. You had some former teammates chatting in the hall. Connor Murphy, Jason Dickinson, Taylor Radish, and Dylan Strome were all very sweaty and hanging out, talking to each other, catching up. I love seeing stuff like that. These guys, even though they're on opposite teams now, they've been in the wars together, and the way hockey is these days, these guys are teammates and play against each other since they're 6-7 years old. So lifelong relationships. So it's always cool to see when former teammates kind of hang out after trying to beat each other's ass for the last 60 minutes. It's always fun to see the human side of the game.
Yeah, and I mean these guys train together in the off season and everything. Yeah. Like there's a lot more connections and friendships outside of just who you're teammates with.
All right, Greg, drive safe, man. We'll see you tomorrow at 2:30.
All right, sounds good.
All right, that's Greg Boysen live from the United Center. He's the best. All right, do us a favor before we go. If you've not hit the like button yet, please, please, please do us that favor. We got 448 watching, 344 likes. We got over our 300 mark. Let's get at least to 350 before we end this show. And before we do, we want to tell you about our CHGO Die Hard program. Again, we probably got a lot of first-time or new viewers with us. We appreciate that. Our Die Hard program is awesome. Here's why. For the low price, you get access to all of our great written content, like the Rebuild Report, Blackhawks Beat, Pigs and Puck, Morning Chirps, all that great stuff we do writing about the Hawks. You get a free CHGO shirt or hat the moment you sign up, or $35 off a hoodie. You get 20% off all of our great events, takeovers, watch parties, all those wonderful things we do around town. We just sold out our sweet takeover coming up on January 20th. Die Hard saved $80 per ticket on that event. A more typical takeover, you're going to save $30-$40 on those tickets. So over the matter of the free shirt, going to an event, it pretty much pays for itself. Mm-hmm. So jump on it, become a diehard, go to allchgo.com to sign up, or click that QR code on your screen, scan that QR code rather. And we'd love to have you as part of our diehard program here. There's so many great benefits to it. I didn't mention the members only Discord.
Yeah.
Which gives you the priority on our mailbag shows. You get your questions asked first.
And it gets you connected with all the other diehards across not only the Blackhawks, CHGO Blackhawks group, but also all the other groups that we got. Bears, Bulls, White Sox, Cubs, lots of things going on in baseball land and football. If you want to get away from the Bears, you can join the other Discord channels and talk up some of the other teams in the city. And yeah, it gets just be part of the community that we continue to build here at CHGO.
Group therapy. Got to hit the super chat, by the way, from Jeffrey. He says, Ryan Donato reminds me of Brian Bickle.
Okay.
Yeah, around the net, a net front player. Doesn't quite have Bickle's size.
No, but a guy that in Bickle's best years, you could put up and down the lineup and be able to play with a number of different guys. Versatile. Yeah, I'll go with that. I can see where you're going, Jeffrey. I don't know how much time
we're done, man. We're out of time. But go ahead.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
I don't want to hijack the show.
We're over. Go ahead. We're already over time.
Okay. Nate, do you have the tweet I sent in the Slack channel? Or you can just put it up. I don't know if you have to have it saved or you can just screen share. I don't know. Anyways, so we've been seeing updates of one Jonathan Toews on Instagram over the last few weeks and months, and mostly of him off in faraway lands doing
yes.
different things, looking for. He's on a health journey,
trying to find the purple coyote.
Yeah, and he's been surfing and he's been going through all his holistic stuff. Well, it appears he's back in North America because, as seen at tonight's Canadiens Sabres game, taking in a 6-1 drubbing for the Habs over the Sabres, was Jonathan Toews. This was a picture of him and a Canadiens fan at the game today. I think this is from Habs TV on Twitter, so credit to them for the picture. I don't know if that's who runs Habs TV there on the left, but that is Jonathan Toews at the game tonight. He was hanging out with Sam Lafferty. There's another photo of him and Lafferty hanging out in the crowd. I don't know if Lafferty was scratched or if he's hurt, not sure, but those guys played together for a season and a half here in Chicago, and this is just good to see Toews around hockey again. I know, like I said, we've been seeing his Instagram posts and seeing him out in the world, but see him around hockey is good to see. So looking good, looking healthy.
He's
looking
getting around
happy.
the globe twice if he's surfing in India and then 5 hours later
hopping a flight over to Montreal. Yeah, I mean, he's picking up those freaking flyer miles. But yeah, great to see him.
Jonathan Toews to the Canadiens confirmed?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Definitely.
Let's start that rumor.
Dude, if I'm living Jonathan Toews' current life, I am never going back to hockey. He is living a dream, man.
Yeah, and I mean, it
just looks good, feels good.
The way that,
why put yourself through it again?
If you've been paying attention to what he's been putting out on social media regarding his health, like, it just, without saying it, it seems like going back into hockey would be bad for him.
I agree.
Physically. So, if that's where he's at, like, I think at the bottom line, everyone would just want to see him, happy and doing things in life that make him happy, because the way that his hockey career ended and the way most people saw him as a hockey player only was tough. It was hard.
Yeah.
So good to see him around the game, even just for a little bit.
Probably my all-time favorite Blackhawk, and I'm glad he's feeling good and feeling happy. So, Johnny, if you're listening, he's not. We love you. I'm glad you're doing well, and we got an empty chair for you whenever you want it.
Yeah.
All right. We are back in a matter of hours tomorrow at 2:30. Again, no practice. Apparently, the Hawks are having their holiday party tomorrow. Well earned.
Yeah.
So we'll spray all fields. We got a bunch of stuff coming up. We're not going to spoil it, but you're going to like the show. I promise you that.
It's going to be fun.
Yep. We'll talk to you
More
then.
Jonathan Toews talk.
That's right. 2:30 tomorrow on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.